So now, in this particular chapter, we will see in the further like what conspiracies were led to replace Sirajud-Daulah. See, students, see how the action is slowly and gradually rising. Okay, and then finally we'll have a battle of Plassay, and then we will see the results. All right. Now, conspiracy. Now we already saw that the Britishers now were not satisfied with Sirajud-Daulah fulfilling their demands. Now they had greater ambitions. They now wanted to replace Sirajud-Daulah with a puppet ruler who would just be a ruler just for namesake. Okay. Now let's see what were the conspiracies the Britishers did to replace Sirajud-Daulah. Robert Clive now hatched a plot with some of the influential men in the Nawab's court to overthrow Sirajud-Daulah. And who was that person? It was Mir Jafar, the commander-in-chief of the Nawab's forces, would be made the Nawab of Bengal in return for a large amount of money and important trading privileges. Okay, so they tried to bribe Mir Jafar that now you become the king, you take over the throne, you will replace Sirajud-Daulah, and in return, what the Britishers are going to do? They are going to give him a large amount of money and some important trading privileges. When the negotiations with Mir Jafar were finalized, a secret treaty was signed and the British presented Sirajud-Daulah with an impossible set of demands where war became inevitable. So now secretly what they do? They signed a secret treaty between with whom? With Mir Jafar and Britishers. Okay, it was secretly decided. Okay, now we will replace Sirajud-Daulah and we will give you so and so things. In return of that, you become the ruler. All right. For this, what did they do? The Britishers had put impossible demands in front of Sirajud-Daulah because they knew now Sirajud-Daulah is ready to fulfill their demands. So they purposely gave them demands which was impossible for him to fulfill, which gave a way to war. All right. Now let's see what happens. Next page. Okay. So now Battle of Plassay. Robert Clive led the British forces to Plassay, that is near Murshidabad, the capital of Nawab of Bengal. Okay, Plassay is what? It is a place near Murshidabad, which was the capital of the Nawab of Bengal. Sirajud-Daulah also advanced at the head of a large army of 50,000 men. Okay, so from one side we had Robert Clive with his army. On the other side we had Sirajud-Daulah coming to the same place with his army men. Okay, how many army men did Sirajud-Daulah had?
50,000.
How many army men did Sirajud-Daulah had?
50,000.
50,000. Okay, the Battle of Plassay was fought on 23rd June 1757. Underline, very important. When was this battle fought?
23rd June 1757.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you from the first paragraph you all can underline this also. On one hand, Robert Clive left the brought his army men. On the other hand, Sirajud-Daulah also advanced with his army men. So you know, in Battle of Plassay, what was the course of action? Then what happens? A major part of the Nawab's army under the command of Mir Jafar did not take any part in the battle. Realizing that he had been betrayed, the Nawab fled from the battlefield. He was captured and put to death. Mir Jafar was now proclaimed as the Nawab of Bengal. So this happens, you know, even in movies, if you all had seen that, isn't it? Now see, he definitely advanced with his army men, But Mir Jafar had already started his conspiracies, you know. He already started putting convincing people not to support Sirajuddaulah. So this army did not take part in the battle. And since he was left alone, he had no choice rather than running away from the battlefield. And gradually, Sirajuddaulah was captured and put to death. Okay. So at times, you know, usually you lose a war because of your own people. Have you heard about this? If your own people are not completely supportive to your side, and if they support the enemy, definitely there are chances that you are going to lose a war, right? This happens, isn't it? Even in movies. So now they were successful, both of them, Mir Jafar and Britishers. Their secret conspiracy was successful. Now let's see the results. Understood the Battle of Plassay, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone understood? I can see only Shreyas replying.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now results. The English East India Company was granted the undisputed right to free trade in Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. They wanted this only. They did not wanted to pay taxes. So as a result, when Mir Jafar became the new Nawab, he gave them their rights. Now they are not paying taxes like before. Along with that, what they did, the company was given the zamindari of the 24 paraganas. This is very important. Underline this. These are the results. They were given right to do free trade. They were given zamindaris. Okay. Mir Jafar paid the company and its official over 300 lakh rupees. Can you imagine? So Mir Jafar belonged to the group of Sirajuddaulah only, but Mir Jafar cheated Sirajuddaulah, isn't it? That's the reason Sirajuddaulah lost the battle. And now he landed up giving 300 lakh rupees to the Britishers. He landed up giving the zamindari rights and free trade rights. All right. Now, importance of the Battle of Plassay. You will get a question upon this. Write a short note on importance of Battle of Plassay. It might be, you might get this question for 4 marks, 5 marks, or even for 8 marks. Because this time you'll be having 80 marks question paper. All right. So let's, have you all understood till here, children? The battle and the results, everyone? All right. Have you all understood the Battle of Plassay and the results?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good, good. Thank you. Now we'll see the importance. The Battle of Plassay was a major turning point in the history of India. Please underline. Why it was a major turning point? Because this was the only battle. This was the first battle, and after this, you know, the Britishers became stronger and stronger. Okay. See, once you achieve one target, you know, you get that energy to achieve more targets, isn't it? To fulfill more goals. So now let's see why it is considered as the, you might get a give reason also, okay? Why the Battle of Plassay was considered as a major turning point in the history of India, give reasons. Okay, you might get this question for give reason as well. So the first point is, it paved the way for the establishment of the British rule in Bengal and eventually in the rest of India. Okay, initially in Bengal and then later on in India. It transformed the trading company into a political power. So initially it was, they had set up trading company. Now this trading company was transformed into a political power, right? They got power because now you had a Nawab who is their puppet, who is just following the orders of the Britishers. Okay, so they got political power also. The Nawab of Bengal was reduced to a puppet in the hands of the British, who became a virtual rulers of Bengal. Got it? Nawab of Bengal was just a puppet in the hands of the Britishers now. So the Britishers got the political power. It placed at the disposal of the British the vast resources of Bengal. The resources helped them to win the Third Carnatic War and finance military expeditions in other parts of India in the future. So this power, political power which they had established in Bengal, it gave them exposure to all the resources which is there in Bengal. Now they can easily utilize the resources for their own profits. And because of that, they could even win the third Carnatic War. Okay. And finance military expeditions in other parts of India for future conquering. Okay. Now they are becoming stronger, isn't it? They had established their rule in Bengal completely. Can you see? That is the reason it is called as the major turning point in the history, because once you settle in either one part also of India, you will be able to take away the other provinces also, right? Have you all understood the importance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next. Please scroll.
Told it. Here,
Yes.
Jafar was a weak
Mir Jafar was a weak ruler. We already know he was a weak ruler. If he would have been a stronger ruler, he would have supported Siraj-ud-Daulah instead of supporting Britishers. He was a weak ruler because they bribed him and he got bribed by the Britishers. Okay, so he was a weak ruler. He had the responsibility of ruling Bengal, but virtually no power to do so. He was a Nawab just for namesake. Everything was in the hands of the Britishers. The British used their power, their control over the Nawab to drain the wealth of Bengal. So it is but understood, since he is a puppet now, so they used his power to take away all the wealth of Bengal. The company and its officials openly and shamelessly plundered Bengal. See what they were doing indirectly. Now they started doing in front of everyone. All right, because they knew that this Nawab who is there, he is not going to question them, and the Britishers are not answerable to him. All right. Next, when Mir
Ma'am,
Jafar
so they
was unable
exploited
to meet,
Bengal.
yes. So when Mir Jafar was unable to meet the demands of the British, they deposed him and made his son-in-law Mir Qasim the new Nawab of Bengal in the year 1760. Mir Qasim rewarded the company by granting it the zimmedari of the districts of Burdhawan, Midnapur and Chittagong. The British trading company had successfully transformed itself into kingmakers. So now they helped Mir Jafar until Mir Jafar was supporting them. Since as soon as they realized Mir Jafar is not able to fulfill their demands, the Britishers removed him and replaced him with whom? Mir Qasim, who was his son-in-law. Please underline Mir Qasim. You know why this is happening? Have you heard the proverb, unity is strength? Have you heard that?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't you think if there would have been unity between Siraj-ud-Daulah, Mir Jafar, Mir Qasim, Britishers would have not done anything, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. They did not have any good. Like they cannot do
They are not
anything if they
united.
all three were together.
United. That's why I said united, you stand together. United, we stand together. And if you're united, nobody can touch you. But see, it is clearly visible. These people were not united. So they were targeting each one individually. Initially, they targeted Siraj-ud-Daulah. Then they targeted Mir Jafar. When he was unable to fulfill their demands, they removed him and they replaced him with Mir Qasim. Now, Mir Qasim, again, greediness. Why people are not united? Because they have their own selfish greediness. So, Mir Qasim was also bribed. And as soon as he became the ruler, he again rewarded the company by granting them zamindari of 3 districts. Please underline. Granting zamindari of districts of Burdhawan, Midnapur and Chittagong. Similarly, what Mir Jafar did, isn't it? As soon as Mir Jafar was made a Nawab by them, what did Mir Jafar do to the Britishers? What did he give them?
Ma'am, he gave the zamindaris of the 24 parganas.
Yes, zamindari of 24 paraganas along with 300 lakh rupees.
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it? So now they appointed Mir Qasim, who was his son-in-law. As soon as he became the ruler, he helped the Britishers. Now, with this, by dividing and ruling, this is the theory over here. Divide the people and rule them. Okay, so the British trading company had successfully transformed itself into kingmakers now. Have you all understood the Battle of Plassay?
Yes.
Before we go on to Battle
Yes,
of
ma'am.
Buxar?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
ma'am, basically the Britishers were taking advantage of the they were not united, so the Britishers were taking advantage, right?
No, see, it is not just the Britishers. In your day-to-day life also, if your family is not united, okay, let's not go for the territory. Let's take in a shorter way. If your family is not united, okay, then definitely the people, the outsiders will be able to interfere in your family matters and
Yes,
they will be able to divide. This happens even in day-to-day life, not just at that time. So the Britishers were just taking the opportunity for themselves. They were utilizing these opportunity for their own profits. Isn't it?
Yes.
It's called divide and rule. And
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is why we say that we should always be united. You can take an example of your own class also. If the entire class is united, none of the other divisions would be able to target you all or defeat you all.
Yes.
Yes,
As
ma'am.
a team, you can achieve the goal, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have you all understood Battle of Plassey, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go to Battle of Buxar. Now, who's the king? Who's the Nawab?
Ma'am, now the Nawab is
Me's
Mir
Mir
Qasim.
Qasim. Who was he? How was he related to Mir Jafar?
I mean,
He
was
was
son-in-law of me, Jafar.
Mir Jafar.
Jafar, okay.
Okay. So now Mir Qasim was a competent and efficient ruler, determined to free himself from foreign control. He soon came into conflict with the British. To strengthen his position, he improved the financial position of Bengal and raised a modern, disciplined, and well-equipped army trained by the Europeans. This made the Britishers increasingly hostile. The employees of the company misused their trade privileges. They sold their duty-free trade permits to the Indian merchants who also used them to carry on duty-free trade. This deprived the Nawab of large revenues and was unfair to the local merchants who had to pay heavy duties. Okay, so now compared to Mir Jafar, Mir Qasim was efficient ruler. No, the last paragraph which I just read. Let me explain. Okay, so now if you will see, compared to Mir Jafar, Mir Qasim was efficient and competent. What did he do? As soon as he became the ruler, he wanted to get rid of these foreign control. Okay, he didn't want to work under the rule of these Britishers, and that's the reason. As soon as he became the king, he got into the conflict with the Britishers. And to remove these foreign control, what did he do? He strengthened the financial position of Bengal. He raised a modern, disciplined, well-equipped army, which were trained by these Britishers only. So looking at this, the Britishers were very angry, right? And what did they do? What was the action? You will see the action reaction. Now, this was the action taken by Mir Qasim. He wanted to remove these foreign control. What was the reaction by the Britishers? What did they do? The duty-free trade privileges which was given to these British company, they started giving those duty-free passes to the Indian merchants. Why? This was again the conspiracy of the Britishers. See the intelligence. Why they started giving it to the Indian merchants? Because if the Indian merchants are using those duty-free passes, they will not have to pay the heavy duty taxes, right? And these heavy taxes is added where? It is added in the revenue of the Nawab. So they indirectly attacked the financial position of the Nawab. Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, isn't it?
So, ma'am, they are very clever about all of
Yeah,
this.
very
Yes, ma'am.
intelligently. They did that. And on one hand, it was unfair with the other local merchants who were paying heavy taxes, and on the other hand, it was weakening the financial position of the Nawab, because the in source of income of the Nawab was these land taxes only, isn't it? So this is how the Britishers reacted to Mir Qasim establishing a strength, or having an efficient, well-equipped army. Okay, so they were giving there was an action and reaction. Now let's see what happens further. To put an end to the corrupt practices of the British, Mir Qasim abolished all the duties on internal trade. This made the Britishers furious. They refused to accept an equal status with the Indian merchants. In the year 1763, a war broke out between Mir Qasim and British. The Nawab was defeated. Mir Jafar was reinstated on the throne again. Mir Qasim was determined to recover his throne. He escaped to Awadh, where he formed an alliance with Siraj-ud-Dawla, who was the Nawab of Awadh, okay, and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. Okay, the combined forces of these three allies, okay, on one hand, which were the three? It was Nawab,
Siraj-ud-Dawla
Siraj-ud-Dawla, and
Mir
Mughal
Qasim.
Emperor Shah Alam II and Mir Qasim.
and
Okay,
Mir Qasim.
and they clashed with the company's troops at Buxar in the year 1764 and were decisively defeated by the British. Okay, got it?
Yes.
It's so interesting. So now you all have understood that the last point was that the Britishers started giving duty-free trades passes to the Indian merchants to just make the Nawab financially weak. All right, can you scroll down? The first part is not seen. Okay, after that, no, scroll up. Sorry, scroll up. After that, what did Mir Qasim do? He abolished all the duties. So Britishers' reaction, now again action of Mir Qasim. He abolished all the duties, all the privileges given to these European traders. Because of this, the Britishers were very angry, because they didn't want themselves to be on equal level with the other Indian merchants. Okay, so in reaction to this, what did the Britishers do? They removed Mir Qasim and they replaced Mir Qasim with Mir Jafar, because they knew Mir Jafar was a weak ruler compared to Mir Qasim. Now, being defeated, have you heard that enemy's friend is an enemy, something like that? There's a famous Hindi dialogue.
Yes.
Have you heard that? What is that dialogue?
Dushman ka dost
Can you say?
Something.
दुश्मन का दोस्त दुश्मन.
Yes, it is something. This is a famous Indian dialogue. It is usually used in Hindi movies. So what did he do? He knew that these Britishers are the already enemies with these Britishers are Siraj-ud-Dawla and Shah Alam Nawab. So Mir Qasim went to there. He escaped from Awadh. He went there and he formed allies with these three Nawabs. Okay. Who are the three people? It was Mir Qasim, it was Siraj-ud-Dawla, and it was Alam Shah.
Ma'am, it was Shahjaud-Dawla.
Ma'am,
Shahjaud-Dawla, yes. Shahjaud-Dawla, who was the Nawab of Awadh.
Awadh.
Okay. And then they met at Buxar and they fought a war at Buxar. But they were defeated by the Britishers. Okay. So they lost the battle.
I remember the phrase you told, it is Dushman.
It is
Ma'am, Shahjaud